point of view. You'll recall that on Friday, the North Gauteng High Court ruled that load shedding is a violation of human rights and directed Electricity Minister to guarantee that hospitals, clinics, schools and police stations are not disrupted. Now, this complaint was filed by 19 applicants against Eskom and President Cyril Ramaphosa by the UDM, Action SA, IFP, BOSA, the South African Federation of Trade Unions, the Soweto Electricity Action Committee and others. Dr. Trevor Ngwane, the founder of the Soweto Electricity Crisis Committee, joins us now to unpack this development. A very good morning to you, Dr. Ngwane. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, this court, the court has found that the government essentially failed dismally to, ensure that, the country and its people are protected against the harsh impact of load shedding. You were part of the process. What is your immediate reaction?
Yeah, thank you for having me, and good morning to your viewers. Yeah, this is a victory for the long-suffering masses in South Africa. Of course, it's a victory for the political parties, trade unions, and other community groups which took the government to court. And as you stated clearly, basically, which is the precedent, the ANC government has been found guilty of failing to do its job of providing, a reliable, uninterrupted supply of electricity. It's a step forward for South Africa and for the working class and the poor.
You'd argued amongst many of the concerns that load shedding had become a pressing human rights concern and that government's response had essentially undermined the fundamental rights of citizens. What was the basis of your arguments as you tried to put your point across on the harsh impact of load shedding?
Well, there is a legal approach which is noting that unlike water, housing, healthcare, electricity is not included in the Bill of Rights specifically. But we have always argued as the Soweto Electricity Crisis Committee and other civil society groups, trade unions, that in fact, just like water, there can be no life without energy, without electricity, especially in the modern world. So we've always been arguing that electricity is a right. Now, the court ducked that question because I suppose it would require it to tell the government to change the law. But it said if there is no electricity, other rights are infringed upon. So, for example, environmental rights, right to water. Remember, in some cases, when there is no electricity, the water pumps can't work and people stay without water. In hospitals, when there's no electricity, the right to life, healthcare, because they can't conduct surgery. So it's a victory. It proves that energy, electricity, is indeed a basic human right, and every human being, rich or poor, must have access to safe, reliable energy.
As the head of the Soweto Electricity Crisis Committee, what would you say are some of the direct impacts of load shedding on community members, especially those who may be reporting crimes at police stations or perhaps visiting a clinic and then the lights go off? What are some of the stories that you've heard on the very damaging effects?
Exactly, because the court said hospitals, schools, police stations must always have electricity. So, if you walk in the township, I live in Pimville in Soweto, there has been an increase of crime, especially during load shedding. We also have this problem of cable theft. So the thieves who steal cables operate well when there is load shedding. And then, of course, you go to the police station, the police cannot respond adequately because they are short of electricity themselves. Schools, children, university students, they fail their exams because they have to study using candles. Old ladies, old dears, old men die because their ventilators, their insulin in the refrigerator, gets spoiled. Actually, without energy, people are suffering. People die.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a 66-page judgment that was read out. We're yet to hear a response from the government. All we've heard so far is that they're studying it and will respond. We also saw Electricity Minister Dr. Ngwane receiving a large batch of generators, saying that they will be used in clinics and hospitals. Are you confident that the government will fully read this judgment and really follow out on the recommendations? What's your thought on what could happen? Could we, or perhaps what would happen in the instance where the government looks for an appeal and explores other legal options?
Mpho, what happened with this case? This is another nail in the coffin of the ANC as we approach the 2024 local elections. Remember, the law, courts, judges, they are not above the class struggle. In fact, judges must respond to real problems facing real people on the ground. And the judges have clearly taken the side of the people against the government, a government led by the ANC. So, whatever the ANC does, whether it fails or succeeds with the generators, but the blow has been struck, and we know now that the person, the structure, the institution responsible, the people who have failed us are the leaders of the ANC and their government.
In terms of the transition and ensuring that this judgment is put into effect, what are your expectations?
Well, we have seen with, for example, because I saw that in the judgment, all the premiers are listed, as respondents. We've seen, for example, with our premier in Gauteng, Mr. Panyaza Lesufi, going around promising people heaven and earth in terms of electricity. It's good. He's taking the issue seriously. But basically, it is too little, too late. But a little can help. So I hope that this judgment can actually provide some relief to the long-suffering masses of South Africa.
Very well. Thank you so much for that. Perhaps let's leave it there, and thank you for your time. Dr. Trevor Ngwane, the founder of the Soweto Electricity Crisis Committee.